Welcome to Encounter Wargaming. I'm Jay, and today we're going to be custom building some Gaslands cars. Welcome Gaslands fans, and today we are going to basically disassemble some Hot Wheels cars and then reassemble them with a whole bunch of bits and stuff like that, just to make them 100% custom. So hopefully you guys have been checking out our prior content. I've been building teams slowly over the last few months, and more or less I was basing them on a blog that I was reading about how to maximize for various sponsor teams. And so we've been doing that for the last few Gaslands videos. Today I wanted to try something new. I didn't want to just customize teams, but also we have basically just taken Hot Wheels cars in the past and added bits to them. Or even in the last video, all I did was give them a special paint job. I didn't really do any conversions, you know what I'm saying? This time around it's all conversion. Like, this is literally like the closest you'll get to a Kitbash with Gaslands, more or less. So I'm going to show you guys how to disassemble a Hot Wheels car very quickly and easily. Mostly it has to do with those little rivets in the bottom, which are actually a big pain in the ass to get out unless you have, well, a power drill, which I'm going to be using today, and we'll go through all of that in a second. But basically, before we get started, I would like to thank all of our patrons. Thank you so much, guys, for being there for us, for contributing to our Patreon campaign. It's the reason we're able to do this and keep it as ad-free as possible. So if you guys want to help support what we do here at Encounter Wargaming, head to the description below and check out our Patreon campaign. For as little as $1 a video, you can help us out a heck of a lot, and it vastly improves your Encounter Wargaming experience, and all the perks are listed there on the page. But getting back to what we're doing today, more or less, I am just going to start custom building some cars, and we're going to take a bunch of Hot Wheels cars actually and just rip them to pieces. And even though we're going to take like 6 or 8 cars, we're only going to turn them into like 3. So that's the great fun of this, is once you know how to take these apart, you can basically just custom build whatever the heck you want. So that's that. I guess I've blathered on too much already, so let's just get into building these damn things. Alright, this is what we're going to be using for some customization today. So first I'll go over the tools. More or less the most important tool you're going to need for this, because these Hot Wheels cars have these stupid little rivets in the bottom. They're the biggest hurdle to get over before you start taking these guys apart, because they're basically holding the entire thing together, right? So the number one tool you're going to need is a drill. And I have here my DeWalt 20 volt. Awesome drill. If you're going to buy a drill, buy DeWalt. They are extremely expensive, but it will do everything you ever wanted to do. This drill especially even has a hammer drill setting, which means I can drill into concrete, which, trust me, comes in handy. Also, well, not for this, but yes, it comes in handy in life. I have 3 drill bits. These are the drill bits we're going to use to get through that rivet. So basically, I've got a 1/16, I've got a 1/8, and I've got a 3/16. Some of the rivets I've noticed are actually an 1/8 of an inch head on them, so we'll only need these 2. Basically the small one to start it, and the next one to drill it out fully. And then other ones I've noticed are much bigger, like on some of the other cars, so we are going to have to go up to a 3/16, but same logic, right? Also, I've just got a pair of needle nose, which come in handy for prying things apart and, you know, basically bending things and stuff like that. And then, of course, just a flathead screwdriver to basically use as a pry bar to get stuff off like that. And then, of course, got my crazy glue, my CA glue. You can use super glue or whatever brand glue you want. I like to use the cheap crazy glue stuff on weird projects like this because I'm going to be using a lot of it. So, yeah, that's basically the tools we're going to be using for today. I don't think we'll need much else. If we do, it'll just be like an X-Acto knife or something like that. As you guys saw, I got that big box of like 50 Hot Wheels cars for my birthday. Thank you to my wife, who is an amazing person and bought me 1,000,000 Hot Wheels cars. Well, 50, but anyway. It comes with these weird little wheelchair guys, and I don't know, that's obviously some kind of, you know, extreme sports wheelchair dude that sponsors this. But anyway, basically, yeah, this is like your BMX wheelchair. It's just The scale obviously is way off because that dude's sitting on there, you can see, and compared to one of these cars, it's just freaking huge. So it's not really going to work for Gaslands, but I did notice that these wheels, look at the size of that wheel. You were to put that on one of these cars? How freaking cool is that, right? So, since I can't really use these freaking things anyway, I might as well just use the wheels. So, I've also got this weird performance car, which is like shaped like a bottle of Coca-Cola. What does it actually say on it? Carbonator. Whatever. That's just weird. Anyway, maybe I can use the fin, maybe I can use the wheels. The car itself is going to look really silly in Gaslands, so that's the kind of thing where, like, yeah, I'm just going to put it in this pile. That's going to be kind of like the bits pile. And then these are the actual cars I'm going to be using. So these buggies you've seen me use a bunch of times so far. I just grabbed some other random things. Like, what do I got here? I got a Mercedes. Cool little racing Mercedes there. What is it? AMG GT3? Whatever the hell. I know shit about cars, but got a little station wagon. Fun little station wagon. I've used them before. So it's just a standard car. What is it? A Mustang Fastback. Cool. Mustangs are cool. It would definitely even look cooler with some big back wheels and stuff. And then just this little hatchback thing. What is this guy? A Volkswagen Golf. Boom. Cool. Might look cool to soup up a hatchback just for shits and gigs. So yeah, let's get these tools off my workbench for now and just put them aside so that they're not in the shot, and I'm gonna unpackage all of these.
Now you're broken, need some change. We mean it in two different ways now.
There's all our cars out of the package. So like I said, the first hurdle is taking these bastards apart, and the easiest way to do that is just by taking out these rivets. So in this case, this little wheelchair guy only has the one. I guess they don't really need much else to hold that little tiny thing together. Whereas like this Mercedes over here basically has two, as you can see. So that's that. Let's start by putting my 1/16 drill bit in my super powered 20 volt drill. I know that's overkill, but 20 volt, go big or go home. So basically, I am just going to start by drilling a small hole right down the center of that rivet, and that'll sort of free up the core of the rivet. Let's do it. Plus you get all these really cool little frays that come off. Be careful guys, the bit can get hot, so don't touch it immediately afterwards. If you have a drill like mine where it's a keyless chuck, you can just put it on reverse, hold that, and your bit will fall out. So that way if it's hot, it just lands there on the table and it doesn't bother anybody. It doesn't give me blisters on my fingers. The blisters on me fingers! Next, moving up to the 1/8, I think this rivet is only a 1/8 rivet, so this may be as far as we can go, but like I said, I have experienced ones that are a little bit bigger, so that's where the 3/16 come in. But this one, I think we might be okay with this. Let's find out. I guess I was wrong. We're gonna have to move up one more size. Moving on to the 3/16. Get her done. Woo! And as you saw there, way too much power. Just shot right through it, which is fine, because it still separated it, but it shot the top of this thing all the way across the room. So be careful guys, go slow with the drill, especially if you've already drilled the pilot hole, because right there it just grabbed and it just went wham right through the vehicle. That can be dangerous because then we could pop out the top of the vehicle, which we don't want in some cases. In this case, I'm not gonna even be using that part. I mean, maybe I will to do something cool with, but definitely not as a wheelchair. So anyway, we got those apart. I got my sweet tires here that I want to use for my other vehicles. Whoops. Okay, cool. Look at that. Yeah, sweet. Alright. And same thing here. I can just pop it out of that. Really? That's how you're gonna play me? Well, there you go. This is where the X-Acto knife comes in, because it's got these little arms. I don't know if you guys can see these three little arms that are holding that in. Just gonna chop that so that I can get that out without bending the axle. I don't want to bend this little paper clip type thing that's holding the wheels together. Just cut that, and she should come right out. Yep, and there we go. Threw it on the floor. Boom, got some sweet tires. So I'm just gonna go through and take all these guys apart.
Of our stupid lives. 1, 2, 3, 4. She don't have to think, and if it's ever blue, she can pave it pink. TV's the only place she don't feel bad. When we pushed her through, we pulled her along, and her entire life we made her wrong. We crushed every single dream she ever had. Well, let the missiles misfire.
I just want to mention this quickly because the station wagon actually doesn't have 2 rivets. It's got this weird little hook thing on the back here. So all you have to do there is just make sure you take out the 1 rivet, and then actually this just slides. Should slide back, and boom. Just wanted to point that out because it's a little different than everything else. Not really that complicated, but worth mentioning. So let's keep going.
Just frozen brains. Frozen brains. The fire's still burning. Just frozen brains. The wheels still turning. We got frozen brains, and nothing seems to change. Frozen brains, and nothing seems to change. Frozen brains. Frozen brains, and nothing seems to change. Frozen brains, and nothing seems to change. Frozen brains.
Now we get to the fun part, basically just doing whatever the heck we want. So I'm looking at all these pieces now, thinking about which ones are going to go together best. I'm thinking, because, like I said in the past, I don't have any small figures this scale that will be able to leave any of them open. So I'm going to have to, I think, glue back in all of the window pieces for all of them, and just use the tops for whatever. Except for this buggy, I might leave that open and see what I can do there. But otherwise, I think I should at least glue back in all of the windows, and any windows that are left open, I'll try to MacGyver something else. But to start with,
that brought me here to the wall.
I'm just going to take a little CA glue and just stick it right back on to the die-cast body. Perfect. Super easy. And most of them have the roof, right? So I can just put a little dab in the center and not have to worry about getting anywhere else. Nice. That guy's done. This guy, same thing. So you can see all the clear areas are obviously the ones that are going to be showing. Got a little CA glue right down the center of this foggy area because I know that's where the roof's going to be. And boom. Just hold it there for about 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, till it sticks. Perfect. And just do it to all the rest of them.
No, I wouldn't trade laughter for gold. No.
So now that all that's back in, I'm just gonna play around with these different undercarriages and wheels and stuff. I was just looking at the station wagon and this and thinking that's about the same length. How hilarious would that be? Alright, well, it's obviously sitting too high here, so I'm going to have to do something about these wheels, maybe bring them out further. But that's pretty cool. If I were to cut that off, would that interfere with that? Yeah, actually, if we bring these out, put that down on top, that might actually fit right in there. Alright, let's cut these wheels off. Alright, we got them off. It was a little harder because this bottom is actually die cast. It's not the plastic like the other one that I took off on the wheelchair. So yeah, I'm just going to trim these up, and then I think I'm going to try and extend the axle on the back out so that it would be spaced out. Yeah, that's a good idea. Alright, let's trim these up and get measuring. And I just got here some florist wire, and just cleaned up my workbench a bit, organized these bits a bit better so we can be a little more creative. And I'm just going to take this wire. You can use paper clips or whatever you have that is like that. I don't know, even I guess sewing needles and stuff might work too. Anyway, I'm just going to take a little piece of this. Because it's not a very big distance, I can just make it relatively straight, especially using my board here. Yeah, and I'm just going to measure a rough distance, what I think looks like it would actually go from tire to tire, but within each tire. Let's just take a good look at the station wagon when it actually sits flat on here now. Let's make sure that's proper first. So the way these run into each other, it might actually be a good thing, because I don't make the back tires not look so weird. This would have to mount to this.
But no twist and shout. He forgot what his entire mission was all about.
Space these out where you think is a good space. So obviously I know this station wagon is only as wide as these little pegs that are around the bottom of this. So any distance I want to put these tires outside, I know that's a good judge, a good length of measure.
Why isn't there more to...
And yeah, that'll be perfect. So I'm going to glue these tires on. So first problem, I just eyed it up, and then after I glued them on, I guess I put them too far in because it didn't quite clear. The point of this was so that this would clear the outside and it would just be able to run beside the car as opposed to within the wheel well. So let's rip one of these off and just fix that. Just saying that, like, you know, you gotta sort of fly by the seat of your pants sometimes and make mistakes like that before you realize that you should have done it differently. So yeah, it's just a matter of repositioning the new axle that I've built, so I'll just do that up and see if it works. Now I've finally got it so that these tires just clear the outside, so you can't really see my messed up paperclip axle that I've got going on there, but also the body lines up the way I intended it to with those little pegs that I mentioned on the bottom of the, I guess, the undercarriage. So yeah, looks pretty dope actually. So from this point I am going to glue this axle onto the undercarriage and then glue the top onto the undercarriage as well, and we'll go from there.
Estimating is so easy, 'cause it's little things that really please me. Time makes it so hard to change, but I'm ending every story well. But man, those were the days.
This is another example of flying by the seat of your pants. As I was trying to position this thing, basically my wheel fell off, and then I realized that this axle, actually, I could have just recessed more this way, and it actually wouldn't have looked weird with them within the wheel well. It's actually totally possible. I mean, the bottom's a little close to the bottom, but whatever, we'll figure that out. It is a model after all. So basically, I think I'm going to shorten the axle. I'm going to put this wheel on and then put the other wheel on, and I think it'll actually look much cooler that way.
Don't rub it in.
Time trying to position the axle and failing, I realized that because of this little nub that's left on the tire, the little bit of plastic that's still left after you take off the original axle, is actually enough space that if I glue it directly onto this purple bottom, I can position them exactly where I want them and have them recessed like I was just saying. So sweet. Forget wasting all that time repositioning that axle if I don't actually need it.
Tonight, I'll be right behind. Oh no.
Sweet, so there you go. Got the tires on there. Now, I'm just going to let all of my CA glue sort of set for a little bit. I mean, right now everything's dry, but at the same time it's like if I start messing with things, I'm going to start knocking other things off, and like just let it set for a little bit, and that gives me a chance to work on other ones, right? So, now that this guy, I've got the basic concept down, let's put him aside where he's not going to get knocked around. Cool. And then, yeah, start playing with the rest of these. So, I was trying to see what would really work, and this sweet little engine came off that pop bottle looking car. And I was looking at these earlier and I was thinking it might be positioned nicely just on top of this one, which would be dope. It looks like a jet car with some boosters or something. Whatever, it doesn't even matter if it's part of the rules because it just looks so freaking cool. You know what? Let's see what it looks like on the little hatchback, because that would actually be more ironic funny. Actually, you know what? Just for the comic value of this, it would be totally worth it. Yeah, I think we're doing it.
1, 2, 3, 1. Well, I worry about the rhythm, I worry about the words, I worry till my brain explodes.
That looks pretty damn cool if you ask me. It's actually really funny. So now we need to pick an undercarriage, some tires, let's see what's going on here. So I was actually looking at the buggy undercarriage and I was thinking that would look really cool on this. It doesn't quite line up, but it would if I lifted this. So actually, now that I think of it, these side windows are open. I should probably put the innards back into this little hatchback guy, and I'm pretty sure this is the one from it. Yep, like a glove. Alright, I'm gonna glue that in.
Well, I'll write a song for you, I'll write a song for me, I'll run till my pen explodes.
Alright, there we go, the innards are back in, and let's see what it looks like on this buggy bottom. Let's see how things line up on the undercarriage from the buggy. Interesting. Okay. So if I sit this back on the back tires, let's see what happens. The front ones don't really line up, and that's because these plastic bits do line up, so they're actually interfering with each other. So do I want to raise the front? That's going to look kind of funny. If I move them back... And you see, this is the fun, guys. This is how you get. This is where you start to get creative, because you start to experiment with things, and stuff just turns out crazy cool. It's just how it works. So actually, the back just fits inside, which is kind of inconvenient, because these fit up against each other. So does that look weird? Let's see if I can get a good view from the side without gluing things in place. Always dry fit, guys. Always. Just see how things line up, see how things work out. You never know. You may come up with new ideas even based on, like, just completely scrap what you were already thinking. And this, I don't know, it's gonna look weird if I raise the front, but then again, it does have a jet engine attached to it, so maybe it'll look like it's flying if I do that. Whether that's realistic or not. Yeah, actually, because it'll create this big mouth at the front of the car. Alright, so it looks like connecting the undercarriage of this one's going to take a minute to dry as well, so I think I'm just going to try and pick it up very gently by the undercarriage so that I don't knock it off itself. And put it over next to my other guy there. Let them dry. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Cool. On to the next one. Let's start getting creative. So, I really like the top of this one. Looks really badass. But, so which would be the innards for it? Probably this one with the, it's only a front seat. That would make perfect sense. Yep. Cool. So that's where the wheels are supposed to sit. Let's figure out here a better situation for the undercarriage. So I still have these giant tires from the wheelchair, which I intended to use for this build. So let's find a use for them. Perhaps if I did what I intended to do with the other one and put them outside, that actually looks really badass. And because they're bigger, I might be able to just glue them directly to the wheel wells, and that way I won't have to worry about fiddling with toothpicks and paper clips and what have you. Yeah, actually, that's kind of dope. I think I might actually use all 4 of the big ones on this guy. But first, I gotta glue in those innards. Just a quick side note, when gluing things on like this onto the sides without actually having the axle there, just make sure when you're positioning them that they line up with the grooves where the axle would be. And that way it doesn't look unrealistic, it doesn't look weird, it looks like it actually should be there, especially with the positioning from the sides and from the top, you know what I mean, so they don't look weird. And also make sure, as you're gluing them on, that you're looking at them from the back, from the top, from the sides, making sure they line up with each other from all angles. And then obviously they will be lined up with each other. That actually looks really cool. Anyway, I'm going to glue the other 2 on the front and see how cool that looks.
Another women on my mind. Well, these are the women. Do not wait in line.
That actually looks really badass. That is awesome. Alright, so the plan was to build a team today. I know I ripped apart like 7 vehicles, but I really only needed to build like 3. I might use the other 2 chassis, we'll see, but for right now, this is my 3, I think. So there you go, 1, This one should be dry by now. Yep. 2 and 3. Is this glued on right? It looks a little off kilter, but I think it's okay. Oh, I see what's happening. It didn't glue there. Alright, throw a little bit more glue here. So now I gotta work on ways to cover up gaps. Like both these guys need grills on the front of them. And luckily I still have all of these chassis. So a couple of them have grills that I can cannibalize a little bit. Of course I will find bits and things to be able to use. But then I also have this kind of stuff, so maybe I can utilize these lights, even if I just need flat plastic. Now that these are kind of useless, I can always cut pieces off these, put them around, especially when it comes to things like this, where it actually has accessories. If you look here, on the Hot Wheels pieces, it was like a backpack and a, I don't know, sleeping bag, something rolled up. And on this one, like, there's like tools and things in the back. Maybe I can find a way to cut those out and utilize them somehow on this. The more details you add, the better, in my opinion. So let's just do a little brainstorming and try and figure some stuff out. Alright, looking at all these now and seeing what exactly I might need, like this guy is pretty much like good to go. Like I don't really need to hide much. I might add some stuff along the front here, and obviously, you know, we're gonna add weapons and things. Right now we're just trying to customize the vehicle itself. I realized that obviously the hatchback is the one that requires the most facing up front. So I believe this is actually the grille from the hatchback. So I think I'm gonna try and trim that off and at least glue it to where it's actually supposed to go here. And then, yeah, and then I'll cannibalize a couple more of these and try and fill in the rest.
Your time. Oh, darling.
Having dry fit this now, I guess it's not the grill from this. I don't really know which one it's from, and if it is, it's missing a piece then, because I can't figure out how to actually get it to naturally sit. So playing around with it a little bit, this is kind of how it started to naturally sit. Now, of course, this grill is just a grid. It doesn't have all the lights and other details I'm going to have to add on to this, so this is actually a good thing to put on first. This will fill most of the space I need to fill to cover up here. But also it'll allow me to put the other ones that do have lights and things like that on here to cover up the gaps in this piece. So look, yeah, balancing that right there is perfect. I have it glued between that piece and that piece where the rivets of each respective model would line up with where the rivet would line up on this piece, if you understand what I mean. Perfect. Right there. I need the balance on top. Cool. And then you can even drop some CA glue on it once it's actually positioned in place. And then once it is, you can get in behind it. That's why I like the points on these little cheapy guys, because the point on it will allow me to reach in now behind and drop some glue. Once this is actually in place, if I can get it without fidgeting so much.
A good girl no more.
There we go. So I actually got it to balance on top of this, and that piece that's supposed to go around the rivet actually went over the one for the rivet on the other piece. So sweet, that helps me line it up a little easier. And like I said, I'm just going to drop a blob of CA on both ends. Maybe here and here. Just to make sure that it gets everywhere. You can even move it around a bit, just make sure it drips into all crevices and things. Cool. There we go. Got a pretty good front on that. So let's leave that to set for a minute, let that glue settle, and figure out what the hell I'm going to do on this one. Now, I do have this undercarriage from the original station wagon. I'm not even sure if this classifies as a station wagon anymore, but that will probably fill in most of this gap. It'll at least fill in up to where the bottom of the station wagon is, so I think I'm going to start by putting that on.
I got a bad, bad feeling that got me right now in the sea.
Perfect. Filled in most of the gap at the front, and actually looking at it now, this almost lines up with the bumper, with the curve on the bumper, so that's really cool. I mean, this is a little weird, but now that I'm looking at it, this is probably the right space for a toothpick. So we've used the toothpicks before in the tutorials. It's a great little thing if you want to make battering rams or spikes or anything like that. It is your #1 resource in Gaslands. Yeah, and it's exactly the right space to be able to fit that. So I won't need to pin drill my toothpicks at all. I can just throw them directly in this gap, and that'll fill my space. It'll create a cool looking battering ram on the front of it. And yeah, I think this is gonna look dope. So I'm just going to cut these in half, basically, the toothpicks. Try and find the rough center. It doesn't have to be exact, because once again, even the dudes who are building these cars are working with limited resources, so things are not always the same length, same size, manufactured, do you know what I mean? So I think I need 4, maybe 6 of these. 5 might actually be cool. I'm gonna have to cut 6, because obviously you get 2 out of every toothpick.
I've used up my last wishes. No one's coming, no one's home, and no one cares.
Actually, looking at these, you can pretty much push them in and out as far as you want them to go. So even if you don't cut them the same length, well, at least in this case, if not cutting them the same length, I can even just position them so that they are the same length. Also, adjust to see how far from the actual front of the car I want to make it. This one here. And then, worst comes to worst, I want to put one in the middle where I can't slide it in and out, or on the sides here where, you know, the wheels are and stuff. I can cut it to the length of the others. Just use these as guides.
It's coming, no one's home, and no one cares. Alright.
Just realize that in this circumstance, the toothpicks actually pretty much fit pretty well between the inside of the purple piece here and the tire, basically. So I can use those as anchor points. These up here, I think I'm just going to try and position as centered as possible. And yeah, that actually looks like a really cool battering ram. It's almost like fangs. So I'll avoid even putting one in the middle or anything like that. I'm just going to glue all these in place, basically.
Drink myself to death, 'cause no one's coming.
That looks pretty cool. Alright, so let's figure out now which ones I can add on to this little guy to make the front of them look a little nicer. So, after cutting up those last ones, okay, I don't have any front or back on this piece anymore, so we can scrap that. I just throw that in my junk pile over here. This, I still have a back bumper, which I might have to use on this guy after all, because this is the one it's originally from, in order to fill in that space right there, like behind the fin. You can see what I mean, guys? Yeah, I think that's necessary. So let's do that right now. So I really should have put that on before I put these two halves of the body together, because now I can't even get it in there. So I'm gonna have to figure a way to put half of it at a time, which means I'm probably gonna have to cut it in half. Now, obviously, this is a problem because it's going to ruin the detail of the back of it, but once again, it is Gaslands, so I'm going to find a way to mask that. And it's pretty much covered by the fin anyway. I just want the space behind the fin to actually look like the back of a station wagon. So I'm just going to cut this guy in half and see if I can put it in a half at a time. Now another thing stopping me is actually this corner of the bumper, because that space now is being occupied by this fin. As you can see, it cuts into the body here. So I'm going to have to cut into the sides of these enough that it can clear that purple piece. So that's just going to be a little bit of trial and error. Cut a little bit, put it on, see if it fits. No, cut a little bit more, put it on, see if it fits. No. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You guys don't need to painstakingly watch every detail of that. Let's just see the finished product.
I think we got plenty, eh?
Yeah, I'd say.
Finally, I got half of it in there. Anyway, now that I've got it in place, I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. I'm just going to drop some CA actually up inside where the other one's going to meet it. And same thing on the back here. And just make sure that one stays put while I have to play around with the other one.
Well, John's leaving his home filled with song and laughter. Join the line of disposition. Oh, well, he doesn't want to notice, but the line seems long. The back's bleeding, but the front won't listen. With misery, love company, well, they said he would someday rule the world. John's not open, meaning he's fulfilling a dream and forgetting, starting with a girl. Witness a man striking a
There
Vegas.
we go, finally got the damn thing in. It looks a little funny, but like I say, that's okay. It can look damaged, it's Gaslands. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to move back onto this guy, because this is what I was thinking before. I've got this bottom here, which looks like it has these cool ridges, which I think I might want to utilize underneath of this grill. Actually, might look cool on top. No, underneath is better. And then this guy, I can just put on top, either this way around or that way around. I think I might have to flip it actually, that might look pretty cool, because then this grill will cover that grill, and the bumper will be on top. Either that, or I can put it this way, wrapped around it, or just in front of it. Yeah, perhaps just in front of it might actually work. Cut it straight behind the grill here. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to cut this one straight behind where the grill is here, hopefully to utilize just the front of the bumper. Not further back like I had done before, utilizing this hole before, right? In this case, I just want to glue it on. So I want as flat a back as possible. Once again, there we go. Oh, I ruined it. No, I didn't. It's fine. Here we go. Like I said, I'm going to make the back as flat as possible because I can feel this piece coming up right here. Just cut right into it. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Let's see how this looks on the front of this guy. Yeah, this must have been the original grill for this one. For sure. It totally was. But now that that grill's on there, I've got a separation from the hood to the lights. You know what? That can be covered with stuff. Right now, maybe I should actually put that higher. If I put it, like I said before, upside down, the bumper does cover the front. Perfect. Like almost perfectly, yeah, because the contour is the same, right? At least mimics it. And I can still see the lights, still see much of the exposed original grill that I put on there. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna glue that on right there. There you go, that's the front of our vehicle. It's actually looking all right. Now down here, I'm not sure what I want to do because I've actually got this, I guess that's a tow cable or whatever on the front of it. So do I want to keep that? Do I want to cover it up? Again, I was thinking about this guy here, which I think is actually, no, it can't be for that one. It doesn't matter which one's from originally. I can put this one across the front here, but I'd have to cut all this back. But it would cover up that space. Yeah, totally. It would totally cover up that space. Alright, so I think I'm going to cut this guy off and I'm going to put this guy on there. Let's do it.
Twin your stars.
Fitting this, I think I'm actually going to flip it upside down simply for lack of detail on the top. Look at that, I don't want to see that. So put that facing the ground and this side around. I think that actually looks really cool on there. And because of that, that groove almost matches the groove of the grill above it, so actually that's great. Alright, let's glue that in place.
On display for your celebration day. I'm the black twin.
There we go, the front is completely covered on that guy and he looks absolutely hilarious. A jet engine on the top of a hatchback. Dope. That is so cool. Alright, so I'm going to let all this CA glue set for a little bit and we'll come back and see if I can't cover up some of these details along the sides. Like, see how it's open here? I don't like that. I'm going to have to do something to cover that up. Maybe some fuel tanks or even more spikes or something like that. But this is pretty cool, the race car station wagon. A weird looking thing. And of course my rocket powered hatchback and this badass. I don't know what to call this guy, but he's pretty badass. That looks pretty awesome. Alright. Let's take a little break and come back to you in a bit. Alright, so looks like our glue is mostly dry. Sadly, our wheels are locked in place, but that's okay, because here we had no choice anyway. Yeah, that's fine there. Cool. Alright, sweet. So now I gotta worry about these weird spaces that I left here. I'm gonna have to figure out something to cover that up as well, I suppose. It's probably not absolutely 100% necessary, but I feel like I should fill in this gap here. I feel like that looks weird, just like hanging out like that. And this guy's just so simple. It was like... I would say I'd have to do something to the bottom here, because it looks like so empty, but then when do you ever see the bottom of these things? Like, you just don't. Especially if you put bases on them. Which actually I should start considering. Maybe that could be another tutorial. But for right now, I need to figure out maybe something I can use to decorate this guy a little bit more, make him a little bit more involved. Maybe I'll throw some toothpicks up and down. Maybe a battery ram on the front too. Yeah, actually that's not a bad idea. But as far as filling in the back of this guy, I believe this was the original undercarriage for this hatchback, so I think this back bumper will actually fit perfectly right on top of this. Whether or not I'll be able to go over the back of the buggy chassis that I have on here, or buggy undercarriage, I don't know, but I guess we'll just have to find out. So I'm going to cut this off, and I think I'm going to try and mount it right on the bottom of that. So let's do that. While that's hardening and doing its thing, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was thinking I could use even these lights or whatever the hell this thing is on the top here, and I'm thinking I could actually use them on the station wagon, because I have all this space at the top that clearly is just empty, open space. Open, empty space, depending on how you want to put that. And yeah, so I think I'm just going to find a way where I can cut off these lights without wrecking them. Now, the problem with this stuff is it might shatter as I'm trying to cut it, because it's much more brittle than the more rubbery plastic of the undercarriages, and these like inserts with the seats on them and stuff are way more flexible than this stuff. This stuff's a lot more brittle. I'm gonna try and cut it without breaking it. See, I just cracked it down there. That's what I'm trying to avoid on the actual lights themselves. So I'm thinking I want to just use the lights. Let's see if I can get it just the lights off.
Like 1,000 fire wrecks of 1,000 fire wrecks before. Just broke down, torn down, useless old clown. Finally found himself.
Alright, the next part is dressing up this guy. Let's just put this guy aside for now. I want to figure out some kind of engine piece or something to put here. Now, I don't think there's any real parts of the ones that I chewed up that would really look like engine pieces. Except, actually, now that I think of it, I look at some of these undercarriages. Yeah, like, so you see, you got stuff like this on the bottom, right? A few of these. This one might work. Actually, to try and add a detail there. Maybe if I cut this one off and put it there, that might look kind of cool. Yeah, let's do that. And cut this one right here.
She's so pretty, she don't have to think. And if it's ever blue, she can pave it pink. TV's.
Alright, let's see what this looks like on the front of this bastard. Okay, a little high up there. So, maybe I trim back the sides of this thing. Take all this stuff off the side of it. Being very careful, guys. Never cut towards your fingers. I know I do that all the time, but I do very fine cuts towards my fingers and not big ones like that. Always do it towards the table or away from yourself. Let's see what this looks like now. Still wobbly, still looks a little weird. It's wobbly because of these stupid things that were holding the axle in there. See, I'm cutting towards my finger now, but I'm being very gentle. Very thin shaves so that I don't cut my finger. That's kind of cool, actually. Kind of looks like some kind of engine-y stuff. Nice. Yeah, actually, that looks really cool. Alright. Nothing like MacGyver in a little engine piece. Let's glue that guy on. Alright, so these guys are getting pretty damn close to being built, and I still have to figure out something to cover up these sides. So I'm looking for pieces like this, I think, in order to use this for the sides, because that looks like a sweet exhaust pipe coming up there. Can I fit it up inside? Yeah, probably. So I still have a bumper on the back of this. Could always put it there to try and mask the weirdness on the back of this, too. Because you can still see up into the bottom, and as much as, like I said, you don't look at the bottom, you can still see up inside. It looks really, really weird. So I want to separate this bumper from these two exhaust pipes here, and probably the easiest way to do that is just to cut straight down. Yeah. So if I put that under there, just have to find something to put in front of it, and that should provide a nice cover for the open gaps. So let's add those on.
Meet again now. Isn't it funny how everything works out? Isn't it beautiful, everything works out?
Okay, so those are looking pretty cool, but now I need something else just to cover the rest of that opening. What else can I use? So I don't think this bumper's going to work on this guy, but I do have this crazy piece right here I think would look perfect as a scoop on the hood, which is crazy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it on this one. A scoop would be awesome, actually, even though it has a jet engine. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright. Putting it on there.
For gold, no.
Turns out this bumper is actually going to be perfect on this guy, so why don't we throw it on there? Just dress that one up a bit.
Isn't it perfect? Everything works out.
Sweet. Now that one doesn't look as weird on the back. Well, it does look kind of weird, but before, if you were looking directly at the back, you could see a space opening up underneath. And I want to hide the fact that there's nothing underneath on this thing, so anyway, there's that. Now, on this one, I actually found this crazy undercarriage here from an old pickup truck that I did basically this to. And I really like these exhaust tubes. Plus now we've added this thing where it's kind of an exhaust flowing along the side, you know what I mean? So it kind of has to go somewhere. So looking at the space provided, there's this little bit of black plastic just past the exhaust port, or exhaust tube. Leading up to this space is almost pretty close to the actual measurements that I need. So let's cut this up and see if it actually does fit like I think it's going to. I'm going to start by going through that. Same thing over on this side. Once again, guys, you saw how quickly that accidentally went through. Cut towards the table, never towards yourself when you're doing big cuts like that. Cool. So that actually, yeah, that stayed on pretty damn good. Excellent. As long as I maintained that bit of plastic on the sides there, that's what I was going for.
And a rocket on its way back home. Okay. Scratching its head upon a milk crate throne. Alright.
Okay, just cleaned it up a little bit, and then we're gonna dry fit. Like I said, always dry fit, guys. Now, looking at this piece, like that little bit of plastic, I want to have on the back side of this, because I want this weird little exhaust tube to feed into this big exhaust tube. Let's see if it'll actually fit though first. Maybe I can tuck this up inside. Will that work? Almost. Hey. That actually ain't too bad. It looks kind of weird, but not as weird as you might think, actually. Actually, if I pushed it that way, you fill up more of the space, and it doesn't look as strange coming off the other exhaust port, or the other piece that I've added on there. I suppose if I just tucked this inside. So this is basically it, guys. This is why you dry fit, because I'm going to try a bunch of different combinations. That actually looks pretty damn cool.
Why isn't there more to see? What a silly game this humanity.
Cool. That is the most bizarre looking thing I've ever seen. It's so weird. Station wagon with a race car chassis. With a race car undercarriage. So weird. Look at this thing. What did It's the cab from hell. Basically, I think that's more or less what I'm doing here. Let me just take another look at these and see what I can maybe add to spice it up a little bit. I guess, yeah, this one's pretty good. I gotta cover up this hole in the top of the engine with something. I'm not sure what to use though. Oh, I got an idea. This stuff that I've been using in past tutorials to represent sheet metal, I can just wrap a little tiny piece on top of that. Perfect. So let's cut a little piece, a little square piece out of here, just following the squares on the foil already. Awesome. Cool. Let's see if I can just like wrap that around it. Oh, that's perfect. That's so perfect. Yeah. Right there. Nice.
Well, I'm sorry you wasted mine. Get organized.
Yeah, that covered it up nicely and it looks nice and MacGyvered. Awesome. That looks super cool. So I just feel like the front of this guy is lacking right now. And maybe this engine thing, maybe we could do some kind of weird little exhaust things or something coming out of that. Let's see what I got here.
Procrastinating is so easy.
I think I'm gonna do the toothpick thing. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna take these and I'm gonna try and put them just inside this little groove here. So we'll see if I can just get some spikes sticking out, like right there.
But I land in every story where my man knows where the days.
I still feel like the top of this guy is missing something, like there's just no detail up here at all. So I think I'm just going to add one of these just to add a texture, and more or less I'm just going to measure how long I think I should need it, maybe, yeah, there to there. So why don't we cut it here.
Wasted your time. Well, I'm sorry you wasted mine. Maybe we'll write. Well, maybe we'll write.
I still feel like this one's missing a detail, and so I'm just going to take some plastic card tubing that I have kicking around, and I think I'm just going to put a couple of exhaust ports coming out of this weird little engine thing, because it just doesn't quite look finished to me. And I'm just arbitrarily finding a size that I think might be cool, so maybe that length right there. Not really, you know, being too precise, but I am going to make sure that I cut the other ones the same size as this one. At least have them symmetrical. There we go. Perfect. Next. There we go. And one more, two more. You know, I'm gonna cut six just in case.
Let's go to Rome. Let's go to Rome. We'll see all the sights just like that show we like on HBO. And if we're leaving tonight, I'll be right behind. Oh no. Let's go to Rome. Let's go to Rome. We'll see all the sights just like that show you like on HBO. And if we're leaving tonight, I'll be right behind. Oh no.
Alright, I think that's that. So, looking at these now, I think I've covered up any of my crimes with bits and stuff at this point. Let me just take a final look at these guys. So this guy here, whoops, accidentally glued him to the table there, dripping down a bit. Yeah, he's doing alright. These spikes are a little flimsy. I'm not too super happy about that. There we go, that positioned right back into place. That is way over the top. Looks super badass though. This one, jet engine hatchback. Awesome. Actually looks really cool. Sweet. Yeah, I think the spaces here and stuff are fine, because it still has the I'm gonna paint to look like shock absorbers and stuff there, basically what would hold in the axle. So there you go, there's that one. And then this guy here is just this absolute ridiculous thing. I'm not even sure what to classify this as, but oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah. So I think that's basically it. I think I might want to add a few pieces of like random metal. here and there just to cover little holes and stuff that I'm seeing right now, especially on this guy. And maybe add some detail where there isn't any. Other than that, these are pretty much done. So looking at these now though, this one here, because I had to add the things on the side and stuff like that, the bottom is actually a little bit further down now than the tires actually are, which is a problem because now this car is going to wobble, right? This guy here is pretty good on his own, but 3 of the 4 wheels are not moving, and that's a crazy thing. I guess I could glue the one in place, but this one here also, because these are only glued on by the front here, anytime anything would hit here underneath, if you were to push these in, there's no support there. I would easily break them in the future. So I think what I'm going to do with all 3 of these is I'm actually going to make bases for them. Now, so that's it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun doing that. Basically, that was a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too and learned a thing or two. So yeah, that's how you custom build cars, guys. That's how you disassemble Hot Wheels and then build some new ones. Like I said prior, I think I am going to paint these up next and then do the basing video. That we paint these first, and then we go into a separate tutorial where I'll show you how to make Gaslands bases. And trust me, there are some really simple things you can do to make Gaslands bases. So join me next time when I'm going to paint these guys up, and then the one after that we will build some Gaslands bases, and then maybe we'll get back to building all the sponsor teams that I was building before. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure, if you did enjoy it, to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, there's this little bell next to the subscribe button, and that'll notify you when our future content comes out, so you don't miss a single video, especially our Gaslands videos. Otherwise, guys, please check out the description below, because there you'll find our Spreadshirt page where you can buy a t-shirt much like the one I'm wearing now and just help support us a little bit and get yourself some cool swag while you're at it. Also, check out our Patreon campaign if you want to help us on an ongoing basis, and basically for $1 a video, it allows you this content early, it gets you extra content, as well as a whole bunch of other perks which are all listed there on the page. So like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you at our next encounter.
Well, I'm bored because you're boring. I'm annoyed because you're annoying. You're the one having all the fun, but I hope that you're enjoying this show I put on for you. So soft you put your fingers through, and you say your check's coming now, and you ran out on the town. You're the king of the bar, but everyone around. Now you're broken, need some change. We mean it in 2 different ways now. Alright. Simple life, know you live it well. Like to roam around the street, live in poverty's spell. Well, everything's a box inside a box, 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 oh, inside a box, inside a box, inside a box, inside a box. Well, everything's a box inside a box, 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 oh, inside a box, inside a box, inside a box, inside a box. Well, everything's a box inside a box, inside a box, inside a box. Like a monkey in a rocket